What's up, traders? Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol ACET for Adicet Bio. On the left-hand side, we have the daily time frame, and on the right-hand side, the 30-minute intraday time frame. First things first, let's address the elephant in the room. There was a catalyst. Some news came out about one of their drugs in development, led to a big gap up on today's session. So, of course, we want to know where the low of day is. We want to know where these prior highs are, and technically the gap fills down to about $10.48. Now, I'm not guaranteeing or saying that the gap has to fill tomorrow, the next day, this week, or ever. But if we do start taking out 1239 to the downside, the structural trade here is the gap to fill and finding next support down below at this area. So be careful of that. The next thing I would sort of look at is overhead targets, right? So if we do something like this, breaking out up and over today's high of day, scrunching up the chart, we kind of have these levels, intermediate levels, off to our left, right? So we don't want to cherry pick the true high of that move in there, but 1715 looks reasonable. And then these highs in here, right around 1587, definitely kind of right around today's high of day. So that's kind of what we have from the daily perspective. If we zoom back in a little bit here, the structure that we printed is fairly concerning. I mean, it's a doji, doesn't really indicate that either side of the trade was in control. The bears might have had a slight upper edge, noting that the upper wick is actually a little bit larger than the lower wick. But again, you have the gap up to contend with as well. So it's not all out bearish. If it was, the gap should have filled all in one day. Let's take a closer look at the 30-minute intraday session just to see what else we can learn about this movement here. Coming in with the fibs from low to high, I think this is pretty telling. The majority of the day was actually spent underneath the 50% mark of the day's range. And that's, again, not really a bullish sign. We talked about how the bears kind of had the edge based on that wick, and this is confirming that sort of information. There was no 30-minute close above the 50% mark of the range, even after the range was put in, right? If you do something like that from low to high here, no candle from this point in time forward has closed above that level right there, which again is kind of concerning. Now in the post market, we're trading a little bit higher, 1376 by 1389. So we are sort of in this range here, but still not above the 50% mark. So what are my thoughts into the remainder of the week? It's quite simple here. If we're still below the 50% mark, not interested in the stock whatsoever, noting that again, any breakdowns of the low of day likely bring us for a gap fill closer to about 1072, 1050, kind of that area down there. So if we can not get above the 50% mark, call it 14 even, kind of, losing interest in the stock, especially if volume goes away, right? If volume just tapers down into nothing, don't want to be involved at all in the stock. Now, the flip side of that coin is, if we start taking out that 50% mark, moving back up towards the highs of day, there's really no candle structure in here preventing or acting as resistance. So if there is big volume, something like this, kind of on par with what we saw early on in the session, 4 million shares or greater per 30-minute bar, then fine, a breakout up and over the 50% mark may very well bring us back up to the highs of day, closer to 1566. From there, you're just monitoring for continuation. Note that we do have that level close to 1715 overhead, and then after that, there's really nothing significant from the daily perspective above. So those are my thoughts here inside of ACET, all about the 50% retracement mark. Do we close candles above, or do we remain firmly below? In which case, just sort of losing interest in a stock like this. If you enjoyed today's video or learned anything new, let me know in the comments section or by giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description. And all of that being said, I wish you a green trading week.